of this. Nope, that is English 3 for English 2. So here, I wanted to get into the book and your final essay, the question of which is Atticus right that you have to step into somebody else's shoes and walk around in it for a little while before you can judge them? Now, if I wanted to answer no, that's a dangerous ideology. That's a dangerous thing to teach his kids. As perhaps Andrew Simmons might write, I could make a really killer sentence here. If any of you have some topic sentences kind of similar to what I wrote here, I'll be a very happy man. But someone could write, Atticus demonstrates a dangerous adherence to his false ideology that one must step into another's shoes to judge them. So Atticus is demonstrating, once again, this is a strong predicate, a dangerous adherence. So it's a really bad thing that he is sticking to this false ideology. An ideology is just an idea that you kind of have for your life. You use it, it's the way that you look at everything. So I could say that religions are ideologies. And here I'm saying that Atticus's ideology, that you have to step into someone else's shoes before judging them, is false and dangerous, right? So that's a strong topic. If you put this in the topic of a body paragraph, that is going to grab someone's attention and make them go, oh, wow, like, maybe I thought Atticus was a really good character, but okay, let's see what this guy has to say, right? Now here in this chart, I already filled it out for the top section. What we are doing though, first you're just going to put whatever comes to mind for your evidence, paraphrase of evidence, analysis, and conclusion. Just whatever comes to mind for that. You don't have to write it really, really well in this first box. Just put whatever makes sense to you in there. So for the evidence, he says most people are. That's in the last page of the book. Scout says like, oh, they all seemed like real nice people in this book that Atticus was reading to her. And Atticus finally says, well, most people are. Most people are really nice when you get to know them. This is just after, let me remind you, this is just after Bob Ewell tries to stab Scout and breaks Jem's arm. So that's great. And if I want to demonstrate that Atticus's ideology is dangerous, this is a good example to use, right? So if I paraphrase that, that's exactly what I just did, actually, saying that Atticus still thinks all people are good. Well, let's analyze that. Bob made some messed up decisions. He decided to attack some kids, man. But Atticus still won't admit that most people suck. Now, again, we don't have to use academic language here because we're going to rewrite it. And I don't necessarily think most people suck. Let's rephrase that to some people suck. We'll soften it a little bit. And we conclude that Atticus hasn't learned anything, and his kids are going to grow up to be useless hippies who think everyone is good and everyone's really bad. Okay, so let's rewrite that with academic language. Now, so now we're going to rewrite these with academic language. So this is what's going in your final essay. Write it well. Write it as if the most important person to you in the world is going to read it and you want to impress them. And of course, I am reading it, so you should, right? Just joking, of course. All right, so Atticus says most people are. Now, if I'm writing this for an essay, I want to make sure that I give plenty of context and information about where this is coming from. If this was a paragraph that you were just writing independent of an essay, meaning this was just a paragraph you were throwing out into the world without any structure around it, you'd want to mention the book To Kill a Mockingbird and the fact that Harper Lee wrote it. So you could write this topic, for example, as in Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird, Atticus demonstrates blah, blah, blah. Because once you do that, here, you can quote the book directly. So, on the last page, and in this sentence, previous one we would have said To Kill a Mockingbird, Atticus says, comma, quote, most people are, and we're going to put our page number, let's just say it's 285, and we're actually going to remove this period because I have more to say. in response to Scout's claim that the people in a book are nice. I don't remember if that's exactly what they say. Obviously, if I was writing this, I'd want to go look that up. But this is just a quick example to show you how you're doing this. So if I'm going to paraphrase the evidence, I'm going to write it in my own words. So the way we wrote it up there, Atticus still thinks all people are good. That's pretty good. We can spruce it up a little bit, though. So Atticus shows that he hasn't or has not, don't use contractions with academic language, please. Atticus shows that he has not changed his stance that most people are generally good, right? So he says most people are nice, but it's pretty clear that he means people are good in general. Like, fundamentally, human nature is good. So why does this matter? Let's analyze that. Well, Bob made some messed up decisions, but Atticus still won't admit that some people suck. Let's make that academic. We're not going to say some people suck, right? All right, so let's analyze our evidence and tell you why it matters, right? So why does it matter that Atticus hasn't changed his stance that most people are generally good? Well, Bob Ewell attacked his kids, right? And if Atticus hadn't been saying that, maybe he would have taken it as a credible threat. So what we could say is that in spite of Bob Ewell's malicious attacks on his children, Atticus continues this tired rhetoric. So we're using some strong words in there. Malicious attacks. So Bob Ewell had evil intentions. He did something really bad. And Atticus is continuing a tired rhetoric. Rhetoric is referring to a style of argumentation, basically, or a way of presenting information. And in this case, we're calling it tired. We're saying that he it's worn out at this point. The argument that we should step into other people's shoes doesn't work. Okay, so now we want to conclude this thing. We want to bring it back to that topic sentence that Atticus demonstrates a dangerous adherence to his false ideology that one must step into another's shoes. So we want to basically say, hey, look at these things that I brought up. Those show this main thing that I said here up at the top, right? Now, the way I'm going to do this is saying, by doing so by continuing his tired rhetoric that one must step into another's shoes, Atticus teaches his children to look for the good in people like Bob Ewell, even when they demonstrate a threat. Okay, so I am wrapping up by including all of this evidence in a nice transition phrase, right? This transition phrase is basically saying, well, because Atticus did all this stuff we talked about here, what he has done, what he has caused to occur, is that his children look for the good in people like Bob Ewell. So that's a great way of concluding your paragraph. Like I said, making it a sandwich. You're relating it back to that main idea while still talking about all of the things that you talked about in your paragraph. Now, if I wanted to make this an essay, this is what I was talking about. We're building up the essay. So we're basically just going to take all of these, copy it, paste it. Now we're going to grab this guy, shove that there. Everything moved. That's okay. Take this dude in there. And take this guy. Paste them right there. Now, obviously, I know most of you are going to be doing this by hand. You are welcome to type up your essays if you would like to do so. Let's make that all the same length. But you would just rewrite it on a separate piece of paper for the essay. So, bam, there's our paragraph. Looks beautiful, right? Okay, so that is how I want you to write the essay. You're basically going to do that exact exercise 3 times, and those will be your body paragraphs. Then you just have to write an introduction. We've talked about that extensively, so I'm sure you should remember how to do so. And you'll write your own concluding paragraph, and then you've got a 5-paragraph essay. That's polished, put together, well written. One piece of advice I might give you for writing things with academic language, after you do this first box, it may be worth it to just wait a day, give yourself 24 hours to let your brain kind of recover and let the juices flow a little bit. Look at it with fresh eyes, and then when you rewrite it, it'll be a little bit easier to pick at things you didn't like as much. For example, like when I wrote this part here, I did something that's a no-no in English, which is splitting my infinitive to look, and then I looked at it the next day. I had to still look, and that's something you shouldn't do. So I looked at that later and said, undo, right? So give yourself time. Don't try to do this all in one day. I know several of you will, but I would not recommend it because that's not the best way to write an essay, right? Let me know if you need any help with that. I will put my email at the end of the video like I've mentioned before. And also you can reach out to me through the YouTube page. Just leave a comment here or follow Ms. G's Instagram, etc. Yeah, let me know if you need any particular help or if you want any particular kinds of videos to assist with your final papers. I love you all and miss you very, very much. I'm really sad that I don't get to share the end of the year with you. It truly does bum me out, but those of you who I have interacted with, I've really enjoyed doing so.